We're a couple minutes early, but you know what? I am just going to hop right on in anyway. Hello, Cryptic. Good evening. That was fast. You must have me on like notifications on YouTube, and I am all about that. So thank you. Thank you for like commenting and subscribing, I suppose. But hello to the rest of you. I've just made the post on our good old B-Sky, and hopefully some people will be filtering in. Actually, let me toss this to somebody else. One more thing. Anyway, there we go. Prepped. Hello, and it's time to start the spiel, I suppose. Welcome to Night Writes. It is our Tuesday night writing jam. I'm your host, Jax. I am a fantasy author. Kind of, sort of. I have nothing published just yet, but we're working on that. If it's our first Night Writes, I would not be surprised because it's been a while since I've done these. I mean, I had one last week, but I'm only just now getting back into them. But basically, how these work is there is a chat room. If you're looking at this on Blue Sky or anywhere else, I would highly advise clicking that link so that you can go directly to our chat room and hang out. There is already one person there. Wave hello, Cryptic. But for everybody else, it is a very nice chat room. It's very chill people. Usually we hang out. People put things in there and I read them aloud and respond to them. And that is how I interact with you. You can put whatever you'd like so long as you don't violate. Do not violate the YouTube TOS. Please don't do that. I like my channel. It has fun things on it. And I wish to continue doing these. There is an icebreaker if you need it. That is our usual little thing to help you ease into the chat. Cryptic has waved. Say hello to Cryptic. That's not our icebreaker. Tonight's icebreaker is actually pretty simple. I will get to it after. I will get to it myself after explaining the rest of this shindig to you. But tonight's icebreaker, which is just a little writing topic that you can talk about in the chat, because I know that we are all introverts or just socially awkward people. Tonight's is what tools are in your creative toolkit, and what that means is basically for writers, you know, it's do you use Scrivener, do you use LibreOffice, God forbid, do you use Google Docs? If you use Google Docs, please love yourselves. But for anybody else, you know, if you're an artist, tell us, shout out what you use, because, you know, we are always looking for fun Photoshop alternatives. If you're a bookmaker, please tell me what you use instead of InDesign, because god damn it, I would love to design books again. But yeah, just talk about what software you use, how you like it, and what other things that you use to make the creative things happen. Cryptic says, incidentally, drat, no violating the YouTube guidelines. That's my favorite pastime. Where's the button to ban? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so for the rest of the Night Writes stream, basically at 9 p.m., that's half an hour from now, we start the first of 3 word sprints, and it's word sprints in name only. You don't have to be a writer to enjoy these. You just have to bring a project of some kind, or you don't even have to bring a project. Cryptic has played video games more than once. I know I keep on harping on Cryptic, but I love you, Cryptic. Cryptic has followed me everywhere. They're really good peeps. Basically, we spend 20 minutes doing whatever it is that we do, just to get progress done on whatever we're working on. And you can see a little timer in the bottom left-hand corner. That is the timer that we've got for our sprints. At the end of 20 minutes, we take a break. The break tends to be anywhere from 15 minutes to whenever I remember to shut up. And the first part of those whatever minutes, we talk about our progress and how we did. And for the rest, it's basically a game of what subject Jax will be derailed by tonight. Just so you know, the favorite topics tend to be food, nostalgia, and communism. So we're going to see if we can hit all three tonight. Yay. So anyway, that is the cadence, essentially. It is sprint, break, sprint, break, sprint. Then after the third sprint, we just wrap things up. You know, I tell you when the next one is, and you are released out into the ether. It is very fun, it is very chill, it's very relaxing, as you can tell by the music, which I am definitely not stealing from lo-fi hip-hop beats to relax to. Except I am. Yeah, incidentally, we're doing a little experiment tonight, by the way. The first half an hour of every stream is just for shooting the shit, because we are all trickling in. Feel free to bounce out if you do not wish to hear me ramble. Please don't go, I'm kidding. But anyway, we are doing a little bit of an experiment, because music and I are not good friends. I have never been able to find a good source of copyright-free or royalty-free music that doesn't sound like shit and isn't basically 3 hours of the same 6-second loop, or is not in just me playing through Incomtech Kevin MacLeod's library. So we've gone back to my original go-to, which is basically streaming lo-fi hip-hop beats to relax to on top of the stream. But I have to be careful, because the last time I tried to stream a lo-fi hip-hop stream, granted it was an off-brand one, we kind of got copyright struck. So that was a fun night. It's currently my most viewed video, I think. Because the thumbnail is just, oops, you fucked up. The scream that you get whenever YouTube's like, what the fuck did you do? You violated your rules, or you violated our TOS during your stream, and now we have to shut you down. So that's why there's that one weird thumbnail. But in any case, that is the entirety of Night Rights, explained very chaotically, because I'm just in that kind of mood. It has been a week already. I don't know, I've been getting a mediocre amount of sleep recently. I basically physically destroyed myself over the weekend with a combination of trying to fix my bike and Ingress for Saturday. If you don't know Ingress, that is an entirely just Google it. You know what? I'm not even gonna go into that rabbit hole. Just Google it. But in any case, my brain is all over the place, and I've gotten kind of like personal iffy news, but you know, I will deal with it. But in any case, I am very all over the place, and I would apologize, except you are stuck here with me. This is my stream, bitches. But anyway, Cryptic says, I think I've mentioned before, but I write everything by hand before typing it into Scrivener. And also, I have, and I might put away my laundry tonight. Both of these are excellent. First off, there is something very fun and tactile about writing things by hand before transcribing them. And on top of that, in my personal opinion, like, it's a lot, I wouldn't say better, but for me, it's a lot easier to do that. Just to be in that creative space and write by hand first and then transcribe it, because you're basically editing as you're transcribing, like, or at least I do, because every so often, like, I will come across a sentence and I'll be like, what the absolute shit have I tried to write here? So it just it works out the kinks in my process, and I have, like, it's basically a draft in itself, and it's great. So I fully support that, and I fully support Scrivener too. Like, say what you want about sponsor or nano sponsorships and for not for free software, but Scrivener is excellent. Like, it is 100% right now, in my opinion, one of the best tools that you can use as a writer, just because it has everything that you need. It lets you break down your novel. It has different little features that make it so much easier to keep everything in one place. The only thing it can't do is share it with, or allow you to share very easily. You have to actually export everything that you write and upload it to some place so that somebody like your betas and whatnot can read it. That is something that I know some people have mentioned ellipsis as an alternative, and I've tried that, but ellipsis does have its own drawbacks. It's number one, you can't readily export it to DOCX or ODT, so that's a little bit iffy, but also it's a cloud-based system, which you would think that is, you would think it's an advantage, because number one, you can share it with other people easily, and number two, you won't necessarily lose your work as easily. It's saved off your machine. It's saved on a cloud. You can access it anywhere. I've done it, or I've accessed it on my phone when I thought I forgot my notebook. I just wrote on my phone essentially while I was at a cafe, and it was great for that. But it also slows down a lot depending on your computer, and you don't have that problem with locally hosted programs like Scrivener. Personally, I use a mix of Scrivener. I'm trying to give Ellipsis another chance. I will whenever I'm moving on to the next draft. What you see on your screen right now is LibreOffice, which I have as a backup. I export from Scrivener to ODTs and DOCXs to upload. So because I'm editing something that I've already written and uploaded to AO3, I'm going back through it and editing it so I can upload it to my newsletter Beehive. It's not in Scrivener. Like, I've looked everywhere. I don't know what happened to that particular file, but I do still have the export file, so I'm just working from there. But this is not what I normally work with. Normally I do something very similar to what Cryptic does, in that I write by hand in notebooks and then I transcribe. I don't do full drafts this way. Basically what I do is every morning or every weekend I go out to someplace else. I bring my notebook, a set of pens, I sit down and I write for a bit. Then I take that home and I transcribe it. Sometimes I will try to write raw, essentially, meaning fully on the computer, but I have a tendency to get distracted like nobody's business. It's just a lot easier if I remove myself from the apartment and go someplace else with a coffee and nothing but my shitty ass phone and just write for a while that way. But like I said, Ellipsis is an alternative and I'll try it out again, but really my go-to is Scrivener, and then for editing, essentially ODT or DOCX via LibreOffice, or I use also, I'd hate to say it, but I use Google Docs for betas because that's what most of my beta readers prefer. Occasionally I'll use beta books, but I have the free version, which is very limiting. Yeah, and other tools I use. For graphics, I use, all of my graphics are done via Photopea, which is the online version of PhotoBucket. And it is literally exactly like PhotoBucket. It's developed by one dude, and I give him all the goddamn props. Like, it is amazing. So, like, I know that some people have been like, oh, it's not as powerful, but it's like, it does everything that you need, especially if you're not an experienced graphic designer. So Photopea I would recommend for graphics. I never really liked Canva, to be honest with you. I know a lot of writers swear by Canva because it has templates, but like, I've never been much of a drag and drop kind of person. So like, recommend that, you know, get some I keep on wanting to say photo bucket, but it's not. It's Photoshop. Get some Photoshop skills. Photo bucket is something entirely different, and that shows my age. But Photoshop, get some skills of that, and you will find that it is a lot easier to get graphics to do what you want, and to, like, it opens up a whole new realm of customability if you can get non-Canva graphic skills, you know what I mean? So there's that. Cryptic Cryptic says something about InDesign in the chat, so I'm going to switch over there real quick. Also, you mentioned InDesign, and I went down a rabbit hole of alternatives, and a program I like as an Illustrator alternative has a program by the same company that is an InDesign alternative. Please do share the name of this, because I want to check it out. The one thing that I've never been able to find in terms of Adobe Creative Suite Creative Cloud alternatives is not Illustrator, InDesign. Like, everything else has a decent alternative. Like, you know, Dreamweaver, you can do just fine with Notepad. Photoshop has like Photopea, or if you really wanted to do GIMP, you can do GIMP. It's got all kinds of good, decent programs out there. Acrobat has Candy PDF for personal use if you're doing it that route, and so on and so forth. But InDesign, that's why I trained my own book design skills on, and I've never been able to find a decent one. But Cryptic says, I tried doing some stuff in Photopea the other day. I realized I forgot everything I used to know. It's a learning curve to get back into it, but, you know, I went to college for graphic design, and it's just all gone. If it makes you feel any better, most of the stuff that I went to college for is gone too. Like, it takes, you know, it takes some training to get back into the things that you used to know. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that. Cryptic says it's called Affinity Publisher. It's like $70, but it's a one-time purchase. See, that is why I would not mind doing a one-time purchase of $70. I do mind paying $29.99 or however much InDesign is these days a month, and then be beholden to Adobe Creative Cloud, which is the most annoying piece of shit software that you could ever put on your machine. So I will definitely check that out. Thank you for letting me know about that. Especially since, you know, if you're an indie writer, you need to have some tools in your tool belt. You need to have some skills in your tool belt. Like, if you can do something yourself and do it on a professional level yourself, that means you have to devote less budget to that particular thing and can focus it on whatever else. Like, for example, I think that the biggest expense that I want to have, if I ever go down that route, would be the cover. Like, that takes a lot of skill, but I can do typesetting. Like, I can make typesetting look good, and I can definitely do page layout a-okay. I've gotten trained in, I didn't do it exactly professionally. I did a little bit of book layout. I know how to proofread book layout, at least, so I know what good design looks like. But, you know, I don't really have, like, professional training, but I do know how to build magazines, too. Like, I used to take courses in magazine design. I did a Phantom zine of my own for a couple of years. So I know that I can do pretty decently looking stuff, but, like, I just need to find the right software to do it in. And, you know, that's typesetting itself is a really big expense as well. Like, just in general, all these things, like, you have typesetting, you have page design, which are the same thing, I know, but still. I would not recommend copying and proofreading. That I would probably get an actual professional to do. But like, I know I keep repeating myself, but like, anytime that you can find ways to cut corners, you might as well do it in this day and age. So for sure, 100%, long story short, go and get yourself trained in all of these bits of software. And thank you also to Cryptic for the recommendation for Affinity Designer and Affinity Publisher. I'm sorry. Cryptic actually sent in a message that was that says, I actually probably need to buy Affinity Designer again because it was Mac only years ago when I first got it. LOL. Yeah, for sure. Like, especially if you want to. You mentioned not remembering stuff that you learned in college, and if you wanted to get back into graphic design, you know, it'd be worth it to check it out and see if you can actually run it on your machine, you know? Also, by the way, I've been meaning to say this, but yes, go and get your laundry as well. Anyway, that is the lesson for the day. See, it is valuable to drop in on these fucking chats, Blue Sky. We do discuss fun things, and that is basically software that you can use and how to self-publish and not go bankrupt doing so. Honestly, I feel like that's the most intimidating thing about self-publishing, and it's the number one thing that, I mean, sure, it's the entire thing about how, oh god, where am I going to publish anyway, because all of the outlets are either problematic or coming down hard on queer creators and essentially shadow banning them. But I feel like when you self-publish, you go into it with the expectation that you're not going to really make all that much money. Traditional publishing doesn't really offer promises either, but I feel like there's a sense that it's impressive if you if you make sales at all every single month, you know? And I'd hate to be that pessimistic, but I look at the self-publishing community on Blue Sky, and I've looked at it on Tumblr and whatnot, and that sentiment's always kind of there. So it's sort of like that part, that the idea that I'm going to put something out there and it's not actually going to sell is something that I just kind of accept as a possibility. So I'm personally not afraid of that. It's more that I am cheap as hell. No, I'm kidding. It's more that I won't be able to put out a product that I am satisfied with. And the reason why I say that is because I want to put out a book that looks like a good book, with a decently done cover, with contents that are with an inside that looks just as good as the outside, that's with polished language and everything. And that's difficult to do. It's expensive to do if you're doing it the self-publishing route. It can cost you hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to do, which I don't necessarily have. So that's really what's kept me from from considering that route. But then again, I don't have a book ready anyway. Like, I'm right now preparing to do the next draft of this book. I have nuked it to the ground, and I am rebuilding an outline and making all these plans and trying to figure out all these new scenes in my head. Will I be able to fit them here, or do I push them off to another book? What can I put into this book that will make it actually work and work in under 125,000 words? And that's going to take another year, I would say. So that's why I'm not really stressing out too much about whether I want to do the self-published route or the traditional route just yet. But both are kind of intimidating, not gonna lie. And they're both intimidating in their own separate ways, is what I'm trying to get at. But, it's all about doing your research and all about really thinking hard about what you want to do with your ideas. And I do feel thankful that I've nuked this book to the ground and that I'm starting essentially all over again, because it's giving me time to think about that and meditate on that, and maybe time for my life to kind of like sort itself out a little bit, so that one might be more of an option than the other. So, but either way, it is kind of like, it's scary to think of either route, because both of them have such incredible pitfalls and incredible pros and incredible cons, and they're both equally intimidating. But you know, I have time to think about it, at least. Cryptic said a lot of things while I was rambling there, so let's check this out. Cryptic says, I will say a lot of things that people say work as Illustrator alternatives are severely lacking, but Affinity Designer is pretty good. God, the Creative Cloud stuff drove me off so hard, right? It bogs down your computer and hounds you with ads. Like, I had to re-download it just because I had to use Adobe Acrobat for this one job application that I didn't even fucking get, by the way. But like, I'm gonna have to install it. It's such a pain in the ass to do. I don't even have Acrobat installed anymore, and it's still fucking there. But anyway, Cryptic says, I miss visual art so much, to be honest, that I encourage you to get back into it for sure. I hope that, you know, you can grab Affinity Designer again and just screw around and regain everything that you learned in college, because, you know, I would love to see your art again. That would be cool. And I would definitely reskeet that. And, you know, if you ever want to consider doing it on the side, I might commission you. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I would definitely commission you, but still. I'm kidding in the sense that I don't mean to push you in that direction. But, you know, I fully encourage regaining skills that you loved to utilize way back in the past. Anyway, Cryptic says, it's a little scary to think of doing all that work and spending all that money to toss something into the void and not see anything happening, at least for me. Yeah, I feel like that's the story of my life, though. Like, I know that it's 8:55 and we should start preparing. By the way, it is 8:55. We are starting our first sprint in about 5 minutes. So while I'm rambling on this one small tangent, get your docs ready and feel free to toss whatever you're working on into the chat. I will get to in a second. But in any case, this ties into the Adobe Acrobat thing. I read down Adobe Acrobat because a job opportunity wanted me to do a proofreading test. I spent hours on this proofreading test, right? And keep in mind, I didn't spend dollars because I was using a free trial, but I spent hours on this proofreading test, and I did it to the best of my ability, and I sent it in. I was very professional with it and everything like that, and even though I say this knowing that it's probably not professional for me to say this, but I didn't get to the next round because I don't have direct experience. This is a direct experience thing that threw me off again. Like, because I don't have the specific title, and I haven't had it for like 10 years. It's like that, the job market these days. Remember how like 10 years ago the running joke was that you had to have experience for 10 years for an opening position or starting level position, right? Well, now the joke is that it's not even just experience. Like, experience doesn't even matter. You need the job title, and I don't understand anymore. But yeah, I put hours of work into something and just didn't get anywhere with it. And I'd hate to sound depressing, but like in a way it kind of makes me optimistic about everything that I do, because it's sort of like, oh well, the worst that can possibly happen is that you toss things into the ether, you spent money, and you get nothing out of it. You tossed it into the void. That's not that bad. Granted, I've also done that romantically, in the sense that I've tossed $30,000 at a man who then fucking ran off, and I don't know, it's sort of like I feel numb about it, and that sounds depressing too, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, well, that was the worst thing that could happen, but I'm still alive. I'm still making money. I'm still crawling out of a hole. So, like, oh well. It is what it is, I guess. I've seen the worst possible thing that can happen, and I've survived that, and it'll be fine. So, in a way, like, that ties back to the self-publishing thing, because, like, I can toss out a book into the ether, and it can be completely ignored by everybody. It might even be only picked up by, I don't know, like 2 people or something like that. That would be the worst that could happen. Sure, I would have, like, made $10 and spent, I don't know, $700 or something like that on getting it out in the first place. But it's out there. So the worst thing that could possibly happen to the book happened, but it's out there. Anyway, so that's my view on it. Like, take a risk, but, like, sure, if you live in obscurity forever, at least you tried. So, Cryptic says, wait to see my art before you go promising to commission me. I wasn't quite that good back in college. I will be the judge of that, bitch. No, I'm kidding. I love you. Please let me see the art. Thank you. Cryptic says, no, I get it. It sucks, but sometimes we gotta figure out how to move on, and, like, now we know. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. Do I regret spending $30,000 on a man? Sure. But I survived. I learned from it. Don't give a man $30,000 if he's flying more red flags than China. But in any case, Cryptic says, honestly sounds a bit more like the book is out there, so we at least achieved the second best outcome, because the worst would be it never getting out there at all. At least, yeah, that's a good point. That is the worst that could happen. Like, you could start paying for it and then be like, well, this isn't working, and then you shelve it forever. That would be the worst case scenario, for sure. So let's not aim for that. On that note, it is 9 p.m., which means that it is time for our first sprint. I am, again, working on the 90s AU. That is up there on the screen. Although you might not see the screen move for a bit, because I'm doing a quick bio break for, like, the first 5 minutes. But for the rest of you, get those fingers ready. Take a deep breath. I'm wishing you the best of luck on whatever you're working on. And if you joined us after my spiel, just remember, it's 20 minutes of productivity on whatever you want. So if you ever works in progress for writing, cool. If you're doing something else, also cool. 20 minutes are on the clock right now. I will see you at the end of those 20 minutes. We'll talk about progress. So, with that said, get ready, get set, and here we go. BRB. Oh. And there we are. That is the first of 3 sprints. How did we do? As for me, I read through 1,470 words, which is not half bad. Downside is that this chapter is... actually, it's 795 words, so I should finish this in a couple of days. Maybe even tonight, considering the fact that I spent the first 5 minutes away. But how did the rest of you do? Also, how's the music, by the way? I know that last week was a little bit of touch and go, but are the levels good this week? Can you hear it? Does it need to be adjusted? Just let me know about that. Cryptic says, I just started putting away the laundry, lol, and I have a kitty friend underfoot thinking I got up to feed him. Kitties be like that, don't they? Excuse me. Like, you move even a tiny bit and they're like, oh, is it feeding time? Or, oh, you want me winding around your legs while you're trying to move, right? I say this even though I've never had a cat of my own, but I've heard many a things. Also, thank you for confirming that the music is good. I know that when I first started the stream, it came as a shock to many people that there was music at all. And then there was that period of time where I blew out everybody's eardrums. So it's, we're getting back into it with this new computer, so it's good to know that this is a-okay. New computer's doing a-okay too, by the way. I mean, it's still brand new, but, other than startup slowness, it's not bad. Cryptic says you're nailing the cat logic. Yeah. Before bees, it was cats for me. Now it's solidly bees, aka the cats of the insect world, I suppose. This will not turn into bee facts. We are not doing bee facts, but I do hope that people are liking my Zizun headcanon that I've been posting on Blue Sky. It's kind of funny that they're not even that important to the novel, to be honest with you. Or at least they are, but obviously dragons, it's a book about dragons, and it's always going to be a book about dragons, but somehow the people have made their way in, and it's now it's the secondary, we have secondary characters. Fuck the humans and elves, I guess. It's now dragons and bee people. Cryptic says, no bee facts. I am very tempted. Cryptic says, they're important in my heart. They're important in my heart, too. You've seen it. And I shouldn't need to say this either, because we've all seen, fortunately or unfortunately, the many, many posts I've been making about bee people on my Blue Sky. But I love them. I wish for all the world for them. But it is kind of funny because I now have to figure out where they fit into the book. Right now, the idea is that the first third is about... Well, the first quarter is going to be Mick and Eleanor get to Sanctuary, and the whole dragging happens, and they stumble through that part. The second quarter is going to be Mick starts learning how to be a dragon leader, which is getting a term change, by the way. I'm tweaking all the things. And at some point, he accidentally... The first real glimpse of what the war is going to be through the Zizun, which are the bee people. in the sense that he accidentally brings the war to them, and out of guilt he gives them part of Sanctuary, much to the dragon's dismay. So the third quarter is basically McBurkering peace between the dragons and one tiny colony of non-dragon people. And from there, he learns how to be even more of a dragon leader. And then finally, we get back to the war and all kinds of other shenanigans. But it's like the fifth draft had been very Sanctuary heavy, and the first through fourth drafts have been very not even all that much dragon/war heavy. So it's like now I'm finding that balance, and it's kind of funny that it has to happen with bees, with bee people. But I have ideas. Like I've mentioned Snowdrop on my Blue Sky, and Snowdrop is Queen Zizun, who's born during the war. So she's a cute little bee princess, baby bee princess. And I keep saying that I don't know if she'll exist because I don't know if I'll get to that part in this first book. I want her to exist, but if she does, she'll likely come up in the next book, whenever, you know, the war continues. But I don't want to get too ambitious because I have a habit of not finishing things. Remember that time whenever I had an entire other fucking novel to write? Like, I will get to Always the Bridesmaid, I promise. It is not dead in the water yet. But I also take some comfort in... I want to call him John Wiswell. He's the guy who wrote Somebody to Build a Nest In, which is on my TBR because it looks fucking amazing and right up my alley. But he said something about how... No, I'm pretty sure it was either him or somebody else who said that he had multiple other novels that he just didn't publish. And it might have also been Brandon Sanderson. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. But, you know, this really famous fantasy author had a success with one book, but there were countless other books that weren't even published before then. But I don't want that to happen with Always the Bridesmaid. It's just that that's a very personal book, and I want to be able to A, do it justice, and B, self-publish it. Like, that one is the one that's 100% it has to be self-published, and that's just because it's too weird to actually be traditionally published. But I also kind of take it as evidence that I shouldn't count my chickens before they hatch, as it were. Like, I need to get through the first book before The Nameless Song before I plan out its sequels. But there's a lot that I want to do, especially with the Zizun and all kinds of other things. Like, I'm very excited to talk about Benjamin, our trans bee. I'm excited to have interactions between Yarrow, the queen bee, and Miriam, the basically queen dragon. It's going to be... I want Snowbell to exist. Snowbell is adorable, and if she exists, then I can start talking about futures with where she ends up and whatnot at the end of the series. Like, she's a cute little rebellious princess 10 years after the events, and it's great. And she's basically a mini Eleanor, but bee. and let's just say Mick and Eleanor get plenty of parenting training. by trying to rein in Snowbell. But man, a lot of Snowbell, I will say, is inspired by watching all these videos of actual queen bees, and they're so adorable. I see them on Instagram and occasionally YouTube, but like what happens is the queen will crawl out of the cell, and it's not like the queen crawls out, rests, and tries to orient herself. No, the queen crawls out and then shoots through the hive, like crawling everywhere, like this little ball of bee energy. And there are videos out there, there's one on Instagram that I have in my favorites, of this poor worker like biting the leg of the queen, being like, please stop. And it's very gentle, of course, but it's sort of like the worker's like, oh no, our queen is on the loose. That kind of thing. And it's adorable. But that's Snowbell, basically pops out of her little cell and immediately is a tiny little gremlin of bee chaos for bee justice, and it's great. But yeah, eventually, like I said, I can't count my chickens before they hatch, essentially. Cryptic says, fortunately, very fortunate. It was meant to be. I love you. I do miss Always the Bridesmaid. I know I didn't comment on it as much, but I do adore it. And I thank you for that. I still am very fond of it too. Like, I do miss Lycos and Zev and Sadie, but like, I have to come back to it for sure. I have to rework a good bit of that plot and polish it up and not publish it until I've had my debut, essentially. Cryptic says, Reapers is very personal and emotional to me, so I get it. Yeah, I feel like we all have that one work in progress that's accidentally an autobiography. It's actually kind of funny. I recently read some advice somewhere that's like people can't get too personal with their works, or they accidentally write stuff that's way too personal. And it's sort of like, but at the same time, I kind of feel like that's part of the point of art. Like, you explore part of yourselves in art, and the best kind of art is made with part of yourself in it, whether that's your anger or your heart or your love or your actual identity and explorations, or you need a therapist and you're going through it on the page. Like, it's in some level personal to you, and it's weird, and it's there. I feel like that's the best kind of art, especially in this day and age, because whenever we have the entire discourse about AI, the thing about AI, and the reason why a lot, like, I've read even in the writing community, people be like, AI is just a tool. It's you have to learn how to work with it. And it's like that. No, that's not the point. Like, it's just the fact that there's no soul in it. Like, you can want there to be a soul all you want, but at the end of the day, like, what AI represents is not an attempt to craft with part of yourself. You're not sitting down and putting yourself to paper. You're doing it with an end result in mind, essentially. So you want the output, and you want the results, so that you can turn around and sell those results or use those results to affect other people. It's not you. It's not the entire, what makes art you is the entire process of it. So that's my problem with AI, to be honest with you. But that gets off topic. The main thing is that everybody needs a novel that's a little personal and very weird, and therefore I wholeheartedly support Reapers just as much as you support Always the Bridesmaid, and I thank you again for that. Cryptic says, Emily is the character I've written for the least because she's so heavily based in the darkest time of my... Oh. She's so heavily based in the darkest time of my life that it starts to hurt sometimes, but she's the main character, so you know. But I feel like I have to tell that story, you know? No, 100%. Like, we all have that story too, because it's the catharsis of it. Like, I have no advice for getting back into a story that's about the dark times of your life. I have stories like that too. Technically, Always the Bridesmaid is one of those stories, though not really. But, you know, there are other stories, and going back to them would feel like opening up old wounds. And I hope that Reapers is not like that for you, but that's difficult for sure. And I hope that, like I said, I hope it's not that for you. But with regards to feeling like you have to tell that story, I completely understand. I fully encourage that you two tell that story, because, and I say that because it might be that you feel the need to tell that story because it serves a purpose for you. Like you said, Emily represents the darkest times in your life, and sometimes whenever you're going through really dark times, it takes a lot to process that. And art is one possible method of doing that. So if you feel like you have to go back, then there's more that you need to process. So I honestly wish you the best of luck with it. I hope that's that I'm completely wrong, and that like, I'm not a therapist or anything like that, so like, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but like, that story is there for you for a reason, and I wish you the best of luck with it. Cryptic says, the weird thing for me with AI is that there are so many pieces of other people in the mess that it gives me the same vibes as seeing the cluster in Steven Universe. That too, like, yes, it's also inherently art theft. What comes out of it isn't yours. It's an amalgamation of a ton of other different styles. Like, part of why we say there's soul in art is that it's made up, and I will say this too, like, this is why I absolutely loathe creative writing courses and do not recommend people actually take major in creative writing. Like, I got into, I wouldn't say a fight, but like, I had a talk with somebody on Blue Sky's writing community about, you know, creative writing courses, and I don't mean to call them out, but like, this person was just like constantly negative about themselves and their writing. And honestly, I'm not surprised, because that's exactly what creative writing courses teach you. They don't teach you how to find your style, they teach you what not to do. And in a way, that's somebody else's style. And I always feel put off by anything that doesn't guide you in the right direction for finding your style, because the entire point of art is not to copy, it's to create, right? So in order to put yourself in art, that is putting yourself in art is your style, essentially. So when AI pulls from gets inspired by different artists, that's not creating new art. That is stealing the personality out of everybody else's art. That is taking what makes that art unique and just spitting something out that's nothing at all, that doesn't say anything about you specifically. And not to get on it, but yeah, courses are like that too. Like, the best way to learn how to write is, first off, yes, you do need to study other people's styles. And yes, part of the learning process is taking bits of those styles and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, but it's that conscious decision of it, and that trial and error and that accident. Stumbling into things that you like that sound like you speaking. That's what art is. And if you take courses too seriously, you're not going to get that. If you use AI, you're not going to get that. So, like, just go out there and just fuck around and find out, you know what I mean? But also, like, don't use AI. It prevents you from fucking around and finding out and finding your voice. So that was my rant. It's a double-fisted rant. I do apologize for getting in on the entire academia part of it, but sincerely, one of the most valuable pieces of advice that I'd ever heard about writing as a career is don't make a career. Don't go to college for creative writing. And admittedly, this came from Orson Scott Card. Funny story about that. It's not something that I read. It's something that I had attended a panel where he was giving a talk about the creative writing process back when Harvard did their own con called Vericon. He was one of the guest speakers, and that was the only thing that I remember from that panel. And he was right, because first off, it makes practical sense, but second off, anything that you can learn from a creative writing course, you can learn just by accidentally stumbling into it, and you will often learn how to do it better than you would if a professor told you what not to do. And this is speaking as somebody who has actually taken creative writing courses. I had to as part of my degree. I did not major in creative writing. I majored in English and publishing, which are equally as useless as a creative writing degree, unfortunately. But, you know, I went through all of that, both with my English degree and my publishing degree. I've been around a lot of MFAs because my college was my college was filled with MFAs. Every single course that I took and every single creative writing major that I saw, it felt like it was an entire pipeline to literary magazines and nothing else. And it's like, what if you don't want to do that? Like, what if you want to be a journalist, or what if you want to write novels? This was before self-publishing really took off. So, like, of course, there weren't any courses about what to do about that, but, like, it didn't prepare you for anything but literary magazines, and that was, like, not really a wide variety of options, and that kind of sucked. But anyway, Cryptic says, I'd liken Reapers to having a broken bone that healed wrong and re-breaking it so it can heal right this time. See, that sounds extremely valuable and like a fantastic experience, and it's going to hurt. It sounds like it'll hurt for sure, but I can imagine that you will be feeling so free after that. So I, again, wish you all the best of luck with that. Like, get in there and write Emily as grisly and cathartic and emotionally scarring as possible, and may you feel so much better after that and so much more healed after you go through all of that. And Cryptic also says, I like listening to your rant, so I am so glad. I feel like is there anybody else in this chat? I've never actually checked. According to the little widget, there's just you and me. I'm not checking like the actual stream. I wouldn't be surprised if it is just you and me. I don't mind, to be honest with you. But if you are lurking, I do hope you say hi. Cryptic says, yeah, I've only ever had one good creative writing course, and that was in high school. The teacher was writing her own book in her downtime, and it was very much a thing of her guiding us in. That is true. Like, that is one thing I will say. I had a really good creative writing course back in high school, too. It was less because the teacher was a creative writing person herself and was working on a novel. It was more because she let us do whatever the fuck we wanted, and she didn't really teach. She was just like, here are themes. Here is the bare bones of how this technique works. Go write and see what happens. Like, she even let us create exercises on her own. It was amazing. And basically you were graded. I don't even remember how the grading went, but it was definitely a course that I aced and just had so much fun acing. But Cryptic says, reflecting on what we did and didn't like about our own writing and how to do what we didn't like better. Yeah. So basically like a workshop, right? Because that was mine too. Like, we sat around and we read each other's stories and talked about them and talked about a little bit about what we liked, what we didn't like, or at least a lot of the class did. Some of us were just there for easy A's, you know what I mean? But like, it was more of a discussion, and it was a productive one, and it was great. That's how you learn. Like, you get in there into your community and you talk to each other and share, and you get tips from other writers that don't necessarily tell you how to do, like, what not to do, but point you in the right direction of what you did well and what you could have worked on, so that you can figure out what you need to work on a little bit better. Cryptic says, yeah, sometimes we do short writings from prompts. Hell yeah. That sounds like an awesome class. But yeah, that's exactly how I would teach creative writing. If anybody let me near students ever, which, God, that would mean that somebody was fucking desperate. But in any case, really, it's about letting you talk with each other and figure things out. Like, give you the basics, but otherwise just let you experiment and create and see what happens from there. I feel like that's really the best way to teach art in general. Cryptic says, always remember one we did where we were supposed to write from the perspective of an object. One rule that I missed was we weren't supposed to say what it was. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like, really get it. Fun and hilarious, actually. Cryptic says, I opened with my object introducing itself, but she praised me for doing it because it fits so well with the character I crafted throughout the rest. That's awesome. Also, I like the fact that she praised you for fucking around, finding out, and bending the rules. Like, learning how to bend the rules especially is the first lesson you should learn as an author. Like, I feel like writing anything 101, anything creative 101 should involve, like, on day one, the class should just be like, there will be rules and you will need to know how to ignore them. Because, like, that is one really annoying thing about at least certain fandoms, not naming names, but like the one that I grew up with anyway, had a lot of pedantic people who wrote guides on how to write and made everybody else read them, in the sense that if you didn't follow the rules, the quote-unquote rules of writing, you would have lengthy reviews telling you about what you did wrong, to varying degrees of scathiness. And I admit that I was a part of that scene as well. Like, I was notorious for my own scathing reviews, But to be fair, I was not the only one who did that. And I was by far not the only one. Like, all of the big names that are still in the fandom did that at one point or another. Some of them still do, and some of them are very much well known for being quote-unquote writers, and who love talking about how not to write and what you should and should not do writing. But the thing is, like, the reason why I don't think like that anymore, and what really started me down this journey of understanding that what that is cyberbullying, is I went to a copying course and I think I may have shared this story with Cryptic at one point. But I went to a copying course, and I think it was my first or second year of grad school when I was learning how to get into publishing and learning what I need to know to publish books and shepherd them from manuscript to finished product that you hold in your hands and stuff like that. And the professor walks in and she introduces us to the Chicago Manual of Style, which is the Bible for all things when it comes to fiction writing. Every novel that you've ever read follows the Chicago Manual of Style. It is a hefty book. It is larger than a dictionary. It contains every iteration of every rule that you could possibly think of when it comes to grammar. It breaks down spelling, syntax, where to put your periods, where not to put your periods, Oxford comma or no Oxford comma, what the fuck is an M dash, everything that you could potentially think of, citations, from table of contents all the way up to citation. She said, you will need to learn how to navigate this. But also, remember that this is a guideline. It can be overridden. House style overrides Chicago Manual. And above all, house style can be overridden by the author's voice. She said that above everything else, the only correct writing, objectively correct, across the board, no matter what you're doing, author's voice is king. Author's voice and readability, actually. So that actually two things. Especially with fiction writing. So essentially, if an author violates a rule but does it consistently, then you disregard the rule. And that fucking blew my mind. You mean to tell me that all of these concrete rules that I spent most of my life learning, that all of my high school teachers told me were rules, they're not actually rules, and that they can be broken and disregarded at any point? And the answer is yes, they can. And that is when I realized that there are no rules. This is a form of art. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to Pablo Picasso the shit out of your writing style, you can Pablo Picasso the shit out of your writing style. Put that nose wherever you goddamn well please. You want to Salvador Dali the shit out of your characters, you can do that too. Who the fuck cares? The only thing that matters is whether or not somebody other than, as John Waters, the great director of the 90s, said, somebody other than your mother and the person you're fucking needs to like it. In the same sense, somebody other than your mother and the person you're fucking needs to be able to read it. Everything else doesn't matter. Do whatever you need to do to get your story told. And that is the number one rule. And that is why everything else that you've ever learned in school is completely fucking pointless unless you're actually editing the goddamn thing. So, that is my rant for the evening. The second rant for the evening. What's Cryptic have to say? Let's see. Cryptic says, in other news, I got the laundry put away. Cryptic also says, God, I know there were some fandoms I was in that were very similar. Yeah. Excuse me. I think it's more like, I think it's like an older fandom thing. It's like, definitely, it was definitely a thing that you saw a lot on forums. Like back in the day, we used to talk a lot about Mary Sue's, and we used to have like MST3K versions of fan fiction where it was en vogue to make fun of complete strangers' writing style, right? But that kind of mentality thankfully fucking died in like the Tumblr era when it was trendy to be cringe as shit. I don't miss the other version. Like, did I learn anything from pedants on the internet? Here and there. Like, I did pick up, you know, how to craft a character. I still can't put into words what a Mary Sue is, but I do know that a character needs to not have the universe revolve around them to be interesting. Like, those kinds of things, I do have to say the old fandom ways taught me. But it was such a toxic environment back in the day, and it's... The more I think about it, the more it's like, yeah, it was kind of common. It was common back then. Like, there were entire live journals dedicated to making fun of fan fiction, and making fun of different fans who were just enjoying life. I think there was even that one wiki out there that was like that, and we are definitely a better internet in the sense that we don't do that anymore. We're definitely a worse internet because everything's monetized and kind of shitty in terms of like being hyper capitalist about its content. But, you know, at least we don't. I was about to say we don't cyberbully, but we cyberbully each other for completely different reasons nowadays. But anyway. Cryptic says, there were fandoms I was in that were really on about Mary Sue's and shit. Also had a popular fanon that trumped canon, and if you didn't like it, you sucked at writing fanfic. Oh, I'm actually kind of glad that the fandom that I'm thinking of wasn't like that, because it was mostly built on fanon. Like, you made shit up and hope for the best, and everybody knew that everybody else was making shit up. Because the canon sucked so hard at explaining things and was fractured into like 7 million different pieces anyway. So like, good fucking luck, bitch. But yeah, we definitely cyberbully each other for other reasons. Honestly, this is why I'm not like, I get the point of fandom, but I also am sort of like, I would never be a part of fandom again. Like, Final Fantasy XIV is the closest thing that I come to actually being a part of a fandom, but like, I'm not hardcore about the character's story or anything like that. I am just here to have fun with friends and also to shit on healers who can't do their job properly. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love you, healer mains. Please give me reses. Cryptic says, oop, cat food alarm interrupted you. Good news, since I'm on my phone, I don't have to leave to feed the cats. Excellent. Honestly, it's 10 o'clock, so we should begin the second sprint anyway. Like, I think that was a half an hour of me ranting about AI and class and academia and art and stuff like that. So I feel like this is a good place to set up the second sprint. So we have 20 minutes back on the clock. I promise that the next rant between the second sprint and the last one won't be this god awful, but you know, thank you also for listening to my shenanigans, everybody. I hope that you're getting stuff done while I'm rambling. But in any case, 20 minutes on the clock. Cryptic says, us ranting, lol. Hell yeah, high five. Get ready. Get set. And here we go. All right, and that is it. That's our second sprint of the night. How did we do? Let's see. Let me actually start from here. I'd say this is another 1,000 or so words, but nonetheless, let me see. I think I started here. 1,472 words, which is still not bad. We still have... I don't know how to do math. I mean, we're on page 6 of 14, so I think that's like just under halfway through. So most likely I'll be able to finish by the end of the week, which is not super duper bad. This is chapter 5 of 10 plus epilogue, and honestly, when we get started with posting, which I have the first 2 weeks queued up, so I have at least a month to make more progress. That's not bad at all. Cryptic says, had myself a bowl of popcorn, did all my work during the break, lol. I did drop popcorn in the place. I had just swept up a bunch of old popcorn, but you know, it happens. It happens indeed. Popcorn is a bitch and a half to wrangle, so I don't blame you at all. But, so delicious too. That reminds me, I need to put together a grocery run. Like, so, fun story. When you live in the city, as I do, or technically the suburbs, but you know, the city, you don't own a car, which, or you could, but it's a bitch and a half to maintain one. So what I do instead is I put together a grocery order every couple of weeks to once a month, and I just order all of the heavy stuff and then go on the weeks off for the later stuff. And it's a system that works, but I am definitely late in that, and I definitely need to stock up on munchies, and that popcorn thing is a good idea. I wholeheartedly support popcorn. Thanks. Ooh, my favorite plant-inspired steak is on sale. I just don't... This is what happens when we're late at night, folks, and I'm not playing Final Fantasy or a different thing. I get distracted. But then again, I've been distracted all day. Work was okay, I guess. Like I said, I kind of got into a little bit of with it. It's not really... It pays me. It's got job security. But, like... And I'm doing my best, and they know I'm doing my best. But, you know, some nights or some days are difficult compared to others. Right now, it's a lot of writing documentation and working out systems. And I'm finding also that I do enjoy putting together systems and whatnot. I just don't want to be a production manager. I don't know what you would call designing systems other than project management of a different sort, or at least that's what dipshit my ex told me. He used to be a project manager before he started delving into different occult things that are computers and cybersecurity. But anyways, the main point is it's kind of fun right now, I guess, and fun in the sense that I'm not quite sure what it is that I'd like to do outside of writing, and it's a whole bunch of trying to feel things out. But I guess one thing is I am good at designing systems, at least for myself, or coming up with systems that are very convoluted and don't actually work, but with some tweaking solve some problems here and there. And I feel like I will be able to fix certain things that are going on right now. But I've been working here for nearly 2 years, and it's a whole lot of wheel spinning, and it's difficult to feel like I know what I'm doing some days. And, you know, it is what it is, I guess. But, you know, I guess that's also why I do writing and why I play video games on the side, why I do all this other stuff. Because, you know, it's easy to break off from what I do in my day job to do other things. And I don't necessarily have to be good at them. I definitely don't think that I'm great at numbers in playing my job at Final Fantasy. There are definitely jobs that I just cannot wrap my head around. Like, I do not know how to monk or paladin all that well. But I wouldn't say I'm the best at it. I don't aim to be the best, but, you know, it's something to do that occupies time. With writing, I know I'm not the best writer out there. I can safely say that I like to think that I'm better than other folks, but also comparing myself to other people is toxic for myself and other people. But, you know, the point isn't being the best writer or being a bestseller or producing literature that really revolutionizes something. It's more about putting myself on paper and having fun doing it. That's why I keep on writing all these long threads, these long world building threads, because I enjoy all this kind of like easy problem solving things. Like, I like these little puzzles. Like, there's that trans B thread that I had. Is it relevant? Only kind of sort of for one character. Like, by writing out that thread, I really understood why Benjamin was seeking out help outside of his hive, and why what's actually motivating him, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, in the long run, you know, you will never actually meet Zizun Prince, as awesome as that idea is. It's just like distant fluff that I have fun writing, and that's really it. It's not about actually putting something on paper and selling it. It's more about just like putting something together that I enjoyed writing, and then being able to present it to you. That having been said, would I ever want to? I do still hope for success with my books. Like, I hope people do buy them. But like, that's also why I'm kind of like laissez-faire about actually getting a book together, because I want to be able to put something that I had fun writing from start to finish, and that I feel like you would have fun reading. Cryptic says, I mean this completely as a compliment. The music in the background very much made this feel like an intense, dramatic, inspirational speech. I cannot stress enough how much I enjoy that. It is definitely on purpose, and definitely not a very long video playlist that just so happened to line up coincidentally. Yep, we are definitely going with that. Also, I am very happy that we have not yet gotten a copyright warning, so I think that is basically our solution. I am just going to low-key definitely not steal from lo-fi hip-hop beats to the lo-fi girl. I don't know what the ethics of that are, but then again, I'm so small of a channel that I feel like it's fine. Not that nobody cares, because these are definitely artists, but at the same time, also, the lo-fi girl doesn't actually create these songs themselves, though I will give her credit for, or whoever runs that account, credit for actually crediting all the artists on this. And I do highly encourage you to go to the Lo-Fi Girls YouTube channel and just browse through and go listen to excellent music if you like this music. For example, let's see. Last song was BHXA Dimension 32 Breaking Point, which is, yes, very vibing, very excellent. This song is Team Astro Blooming. So yes. But anyway, oh, there are the mod options. Where were we? Oh, I think I was just sort of like having fun writing and stuff like that. But yeah, I just have fun doing world building stuff, doing research, and creating all kinds of shenanigans. Like today I actually kind of hammered out what the 12 flowers that were sacred to the Zizun were. I have an entire spreadsheet of that. It couples them with the elements colors, which Dawnlit is associated with them. I also have a column for like the champions and what other forms they have, because spoiler alert, they all have alternate forms. Miku's not the only one. And it's like, that took a solid, I'm not even going to say how long of research, because it might have been a distraction today, something that I kind of picked at between tasks. But it was fun, and just building out the rules for this race and creating meaning, trying to think of, what the queen cakes taste like, what they look like, what flowers go into them, do the Zizun like them on their own? Do they like to add different flavors to them and try to bring out the essence of them? Like the fire one is marigold, and they put crushed marigold in their queen cake, which is spicy. So on top of that, they also make it like raspberry flavored, and it's like, what does that taste like? Things like that. It's so much fun. But will this ever come up in the story? Probably not all that much. Like, I can imagine that once we get to Snowbell in the second book, there's going to be a line or a paragraph about queen cakes, and that'll be it. Or there might be an offhanded half a scene where they feed her the queen cake of the day, but then they're doing something else. But that's why. That's why if you've been following me for a while, I write all these long headcanon and world building posts. It's not because I need them for reference or because I want to share it's not also because I want to be known as the person who writes these headcanon posts. It's just because they're fun to me. It's also kind of why I kind of gave up the Ask blog, because at some point, like when it stops being, when people start kind of like arguing with me about headcanon, which happened, it's sort of like, I wish I could tell you that it's this way because I like it that way, and I'm doing this for me. And you have your own headcanon, and it was just at the end of it. It's not yet technically ended. I promise that I'll answer the last few asks and then close it up, and I've yet to do that. I will someday, but like, it's hard to come back to that, like, in many ways. And I'd hate to continue getting off topic, but the reason why in this particular case it's so hard is because, first off, I go back and I read how I wrote back then, and the last posts were like in 2020, 2021, and it's only been a couple of years, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I have come so far just by like constantly forcing myself to write so much and immerse myself in all these other communities and learn from reading full-on books, not just fan fiction, but like full-on published novels, and studying other people's writing, and just in general thinking about my own writing and stuff like that. I've come so far from where I was that where I was just feels so disjointed and awkward, and very clearly, like, it was very clear that I was obsessed with this one character, and I still like that one character, but like back then it's like I just did so many. I'd hate to insult my own writing, but like it's so much more fun to work with Mick and do similar things to what I did with this other character. But in Mick's case, it feels right just because it's the setting, and he responds to it a completely different way. Whereas this other character, it just feels so wooden and forced and natural for who that character was. And on top of that, you had the fact that none of the writing wound up being basically my own. Like, I had to cater to other people, and if I didn't cater the right way, then it started arguments, and it's like super awkward. And it became a chore to continue the blog, and between that and the fact that I just find it really difficult to get back into writing the way that I did back then, it's been difficult to get back to that blog. Cryptic says, I get the feeling of change is feeling so intense even with just a couple of years. I have a couple of things I want to restart because I've gotten better since then. My advice would be essentially, this is going to sound like terrible writing advice, but like, if you've left something on the shelf or on the back burner for so long that your style has changed dramatically, you could potentially pick it up after years. I know that some fanfiction writers have been able to do that, but sometimes it's better just to start from the ground up. Like, take the core concepts that you were thinking of and the core outline and rewrite the first chapters or the first leg of it in your style, and then continue on from there. And I know that there are people who will say that rewriting is putting you at risk of putting you back in the hole, essentially. But first off, that's shit advice. Do whatever you feel like doing with your writing. It's your writing. Like, who the fuck cares? But... And also, like, don't force yourself to work on a project that is more like a chore to you. If you think that it would be less of a chore to rewrite it, then explore that idea and figure out how much you need to rewrite, or what you need to change, or what you need to edit before you push forward. Because essentially, the first part that you wrote, it's like building a house. If the foundation is cracked, and if the first floor is made out of shit rotting wood, you cannot build a second floor on top of that. Like, if the base house is so flawed that continuing forward would just create a worse story than starting over, then you should start over, obviously. But bitterness aside, like, it's the same thing. Like, definitely read through. So my advice is definitely read through what you're hoping to restart, and decide then if the foundations and first floor are sound. If they are, then just outline from there, and just figure out where you want to go from there. If they're not sound, then you have a completely different style and you know how to handle a story better. So build that new foundation and build that new first floor and just continue onwards. For me and that blog, I don't have a choice but to continue forward because it's so close to the end. It's just that it's difficult to go back to it because, you know, the person that wrote that blog is not me anymore. That is not my skill level. That is not how I write characters. And I don't have the same amount of patience for an audience, for that kind of audience. Not to put shit on on the audience that does have, but like, there's a reason why I disabled replies and asks. Like, little pro tip for all y'all out there, but if you have headcanons, don't impose them on other people. Let's just say, if somebody is writing a blog involving their headcanons, you know, it's kind of weird to write unrelated fanfiction in the box, because then, like, how do I respond to that? And B, to argue with them about how the world that they're explaining works. Unless it's like factually incorrect. Like if the character says like the sky is blue and it's actually green in the canon, obviously, yeah, okay, fine. But like, or like if the character says no, the sky is just naturally green everywhere and it's blue both in canon and out, then yeah, that might be something you might want to dispute. But like, I'd get like people coming in and be like, well, actually, and then they'd roll off on their own headcanon. And it's like, I don't know. All in all, like, I'm really glad not to be in that fandom anymore, but like, I still have to finish. Because it's a promise I made, and like I was getting at earlier tonight, I have a tendency to not finish things that I start. And I'm painfully aware of this. And that is something that I'm working on fixing, for sure. It's why I will not... shockingly, though, I will say this. The Nameless song is surviving very well. I've written very long-form fanfiction before. There were times when I'd spend like 5+ years to get out like 30 chapters, but the Nameless Song has gone through multiple drafts already and multiple iterations of the story, multiple short side stories and everything, all these world building posts, and I still love it and want to see it through to the end. And that is why I have high hopes for that. This time will be the time that I actually finish something. But, you know, I'm still, like, not making any guarantees until we get that last period on the page and I finally start making plans to put it in book form. But, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I do think about how I have a habit of not finishing the things that I start. I'm definitely not a young writer anymore. And every year that passes is another one where I'm like, I need to do something with my life, and I need to get these things that I keep on saying that I'd get together, together. But I'm also like trying to reassure myself that everybody's journey looks different, and we all get to where we're supposed to be going eventually. But it takes some people longer than others. Like, there are posts out there that talk about when different famous people broke out into the career that they eventually grew to love and that they eventually became famous for. Like, I keep on thinking about how Alan Rickman had been a graphic designer before he became an actor and got his big break, and how old he was when he first started acting, or when he first got into his movie roles. And I keep thinking, you know, if it takes him that long, you know, I just have to be patient and get there and work on it little by little until I get to where I need to be too. But it's going to take a while, and I just have to be patient, that's all. But yeah, this is a little bit depressing, but it is that kind of night, I suppose. What else can I talk about? Because it's still a little bit too early. It was 10 o'clock when we started the last sprint. So it'd been 10:20 when we stopped. And we're coming up to 10:50. So actually, yeah, we're coming up to a good time for the last sprint of the night. For those of you who've tuned in, I just do want to thank you. Yeah, I know that you probably didn't come here to listen to me ramble, except for Cryptic, who enjoys it for some reason and enables it. But there have definitely been people who come in and they were like, yo, I thought we were sprinting and stuff like that. Don't be like that either. Just trust the process. But in any case, it's chill hanging out with y'all and chatting, rambling, ranting, and whatnot. So I do thank you if you came here and you're staying with me and you're lurking or whatnot. Cryptic says, and I'll never stop enabling it, and that's why I enjoy having you on these streams. Real quick, the rest of the week is going to be a little bit painful, and I know that I said that I discussed where we're going, what's going to be going on for the rest of the week after the last stream, but fuck it, let's talk about it now so that we can all conk out at the end of the last sprint. But basically, the rest of this week is going to be fun, so there's no extra streams. There is Poster Pit on Friday, and I will be working on a new poster, not for TNS. We're reusing the old poster for that because fuck it. But it's going to be for the Infinite Sadness, which is what you see on the screen, which is a 90s AU of the Nameless song. It's going to be actually launching its first chapter. Okay, let me be coherent for a second. Poster Pit is on Friday. I will be participating in that with 2 pitches. Hope to see you there. Really excited to see the creativity that everybody's going to be displaying. If you don't know what Poster Pit is a pitch event, which in Blue Sky means we all pitch our stories to each other and hype each other up. There are industry events, but they're smaller and less frequent. But basically, it's an all-day event. You put up a graphic, you put up your little pitch, and you try to advertise yourself while you interact with everybody else. It's a lot of fun. This time around, Poster Pit is a themed event, wherein the theme is that your graphic should be a movie poster. So I have a movie poster already set for the Nameless song. It's, again, I'm reusing it. Nobody's going to care. But it is vintage, and it made a splash the last time around. I'm fingers crossed people don't remember that splash so I can reuse it a-okay, or there will be new people, we'll see. The second one that I'm doing is for the Infinite Sadness, which is going to be a 90s themed poster. So it's going to be a lot of fun. 2 pitches, Poster Pit, August 15th. Hope to see you there, blah, blah, blah. Also August 15th, that night, still haven't set the time, but it will be queued and everything will be ready, and it's already in Beehive and everything like that. The first chapter of the Infinite Sadness, which is the 90s AU of the Nameless song, my current baby, aka What you see on screen right now, the first chapter of this story will be dropping on Beehive for free this Friday. It's on Beehive, and if I set it up correctly, it should be for subscribers only. I will probably fuck it up. We'll see what happens. But in order to view it, go sign up for my Beehive. It's best if you go sign up for my Beehive anyway. It will be beamed directly into your inbox, that first chapter. And like I said, every single chapter will be for free. So this entire story of 10 chapters and an epilogue completely free on Beehive only. So August 15th, probably around 7 o'clock, it will appear. Nothing over the weekend. I'll probably be using it to conk out and sleep, which means that our next stream will be happening on Tuesday. What is that date? Probably doesn't even matter, it's next Tuesday. That's Duolingo. Don't mind me. Tuesday the 19th is our next stream. Same time, same bat time, same bat place. That is 8:30 right here on YouTube. We are back to our regular streams every single week, every single Tuesday at 8:30 from 8:30 to whenever. Most likely 8:30 to 11:20, whatnot. Thank you. Cryptic says the 19th. Yes, thank you. But yes, every single Tuesday, that's what we're doing. Will I ever be doing side streams? I don't know. We'll probably play it by ear. I do have things happening on Mondays and Tuesdays these days, and occasionally Thursdays, and Fridays tend to be pitch events, at least one pitch event a month, so we'll see. If not, at least once a week we'll be here and hanging out. But yes, next Tuesday the 19th, or in other words, as a summary, 15th poster pit and the first chapter of the Infinite Sadness. 19th next stream, the Thursday after that, which should be the 21st if my math is correct. Thursday or Friday, I have yet to actually decide to, will be the next chapter, and so on and so forth, straight on through to autumn, which is right around the corner, guys. Speaking of around the corner, 11 o'clock is around the corner, so we are going to queue up for that last sprint of the night. 20 minutes are on the clock, my dudes. This is the last sprint, so I wish you the best of luck for it. May plenty of words happen, or plenty of what have you. Get ready, get set, and here we go. that is it. That is the last sprint of the night. Let us check. Okay, 1892, which is not that bad at all, but this was a funny part and probably one of my favorite parts of the story. I am very much looking forward to presenting again. I know it's been up on AO3 for a while, but I also am very painfully aware that not many people were aware of that. Or I know that Blue Sky wasn't super aware of it, but Tumblr seemed to be allergic to every single advertisement I put out for it. So marketing should go well. I should probably put up advertisements. Anyway, yeah, we're at that time of the night where I am very much all over the place. But for the last time, how did all of you do? For the last time tonight, we are definitely doing this next week. Totally okay if it's still just cryptic at me. It would be hilarious if it was like somebody pops in. I've been here since like 8:30. Hi, what's up? 3 hours of complete silence. Speaking of, we got to the end of the lo-fi hip-hop mix, which means that that's another cue that we should probably wrap things up. Cryptic says, I just chilled this last sprint. So, yeah, because the music was literally 2 hours and 50 minutes. There are definitely longer streams, and there is, of course, the actual live stream, but I will never actually play the live stream in the live stream because I feel like that would not go over well. But, you know, we'll find different compilations, change it up. Looking forward to holiday mixes and seeing what's up. But in any case, there is everything that I was talking about earlier, just before the sprint, the schedule that we have going on. The rest of the week, like I said, my Wednesdays have become busy. Thursdays every so often, including this coming one. Friday is going to be Poster Pit. I hope you all join. If you don't know what Poster Pit is, definitely go look it up on Blue Sky. They have a card and everything. They are on top of things. You will find all the rules that you need to know, examples, everything that you need to participate right there on Poster Pit. Probably bsky.social, probably. Let me see. Yes, posterpit.bsky.social. Go look it up. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's Friday alongside the first chapter of The Infinite Sadness dropping on Beehive sometime around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., somewhere in that vicinity, Eastern Standard Time. It is for free. All I ask is that you sign up for my Beehive, which is my newsletter, to get it. Then we're going to do our stream next Tuesday. New chapters of The Infinite Sadness will likely be on Thursdays afterwards, after this upcoming Friday. And it's all going to be fun, you know. But in any case, Cryptic says livestreamception sounds confusing to set up. It's not as confusing as you might think. It's just like streaming any other video into the live stream. Everything that my mic or my speakers pick up or play to me gets picked up and streamed. It's just like, I feel like it's ethically dubious and also more likely to stutter, because although the method is the same as playing any other source of music, I can't guarantee the connectivity will be great. But in any case, we're not going to do that anyway. We are just going to continue playing music videos and streaming until YouTube gives me another copyright strike, I guess. But in any case, that is all for tonight. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with me for these past 3 hours. We got a lot done, and It's been great. I've made great progress. It was great to rant at y'all. I hope y'all made great progress too on whatever it is that you're working on. If it's if it's not just cryptic and me, hopefully it's not. Hopefully there are lurkers, or if not, oh well, this will be forever on my YouTube channel. But in any case, I hope you join me next week, next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. ET, for another live stream, and I will be bringing more The Infinite Sadness until we're done. Cryptic says, I feel like I made good progress. I am high-fiving you. That said, good night. I hope you get some really good rest. Have a great rest of your week, my dudes. And I will see you around. Take care.